everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, we're actually talking about Bumble disasters. And man, have I had a lot of them. Sad but true. I also wanted to forewarn you guys and make a disclaimer saying if you have little eyes or little ears around you, I do cuss a little bit in this video. And also we talk about the guy in this video actually had stuff to do with drugs and stuff like that. So there are like more adult conversations in this video. So any little ears, little eyes, I am warning you to not show them. Wanted to give a disclaimer before starting the video, but I love you guys so much and let's get on into it. Oh man. You guys won't even believe it, I tell you what. So I'm going to tell you guys about a dating Bumble disaster. Right, Ollie? Right? It was horrible. So, okay, so just for background, for those of you who don't know about Bumble or what my hair is doing right now, it's a lot of unknowns, you know? Bumble, like, so Tinder came out and everyone thinks of Tinder as like a hookup site, right? And then Bumble came out, and so Tinder, like anyone can IM anybody. Bumble came out, and Bumble was like, if you swipe right on each other and you match, the woman has to speak first in order for the male to be able to communicate with them. And they just have like better settings and stuff, but for the most part, I would say Bumble was definitely a better app than Tinder and had better people on it, in the sense like people who are actually looking to like maybe have a relationship. But I will say that just because the person wants to have a relationship doesn't mean many people want to have a relationship with them. So to preface this, I had been on Bumble at this time for like a couple months, and I had met a couple people, and they weren't bad at all. Like none of them were bad. It was just, you know, when you go on like a date, or you just hang out with someone, and it's not that they're not great, but you're just like, you don't have that feeling or that connection with them that way. You think of them more as like a friend, or like, oh, they're funny. You know, you're not like, oh, I really feel like I want to kiss this guy, or like, oh, he's so cool. Like, oh, he's so interesting. I really want to hang out with him again. It's more of like, there was just no chemistry there. Sometimes even at like a friend level. So I'm using Revolution F6. So at this point, you know, I had gone on a couple bad dates. Not bad, but like not great. But nobody who I went out with by this point was like crazy or like a bad person, or like nothing had gone on that was like, you know, alarming. Little did I know. So, you guys won't even believe, like, you just won't. You guys see me looking down, I'm sorry. It's me trying to do my makeup. So, I swipe right on this guy, right? Right, I swiped right. Right. He looked like a country boy. He was probably about like 6'2", brown hair, blue eyes, cute guy. His main pic was him, and I remember this so vividly. His main pic was him like on a patio, like his parents' patio, it seemed, because it looked like there was like an older male and female in the background, or it seemed like a family event. I don't know why it felt like that, but it just felt like a family event to me, you know? And I was like, oh, this guy's family oriented. Listen, I've learned a lot since dating. A lot in 2018, beginning of 2019. So don't you worry. Nothing tricks me anymore. So anyways, he had a couple of pictures and all of them looked like the same guy, you know, like tall, cute, humble looking, like just always in like a flannel, or sorry, plaid, sometimes a flannel plaid shirt, you know. And it just said basically like he was looking for something. On his profile, it said he was looking for a relationship, and that like if you're someone who just wants to hook up, like, don't contact me type of thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this guy so sick of people too? I can relate. We both match, so excited. Match made in heaven. Or was it? Nay. I text him, right? So like I am very, you guys know, I watch a lot of true crime, okay? I'm not a dummy. My mama, my daddy raised me right. I don't believe people, even if they're right in front of my face, like, yeah, this is me. I'm like, is it though? Is it though? I was like, okay, this is how I would vet guys back in the day. I would talk to them for a little bit, like for about like a week or two through text and stuff. And then I would ask them to snap me on Snapchat because you want to make sure this person is real, right? And so I would have them snap me. Well, he didn't have Snapchat. And this is when Snapchat was like the hot commodity, right? So that was my first red flag. I was like, you don't have Snapchat? I was like, okay, whatever, but it's fine. So then I told him like, well, why don't you call me? Let's talk on the phone because I just don't want to meet anybody until I talk to them. He's like, okay. So at this point we had been texting like every day for 2 weeks, like morning till night, like good morning, all that cutesy shite. And then we would text good night and he just seemed really, really nice. So he calls me and like we talked on the phone for like 3 nights in a row. And again, you guys, I'm just getting crap all in my hair as I always do. So if it looks like I have gray hair all through here, it's my foundation. Whatever. Life goes on. Talked on the phone and on the phone, like super normal, super nice. I look up everyone on Google. I Google everybody. I get their last name. I get their information. And if the men don't want to give it up to me, I don't meet up with them. So I had seen, like I found him online on Google and I couldn't find much on him, so I was like, okay, cool. The little, the better. He had a Facebook. It was like the same main pic that he had on his Bumble account. So I was like, okay, this guy seems like legit. He had a lot of friends on Facebook, what have you. So I agreed to go on a date with him. Mind you, don't worry, my girlfriends, you guys know Dana, especially Dana, we do Find My Friends. So we all have each other, or we used to all have each other on Find My Friends, especially while we were like dating a lot. Because Find My Friends is an app that all women should download and give each other's locations when you go on a date or like go out with someone you don't know. And this way you can ensure that at least if your ass gets, in trouble, as in someone's like trying to kidnap you or something, they can find you because they have you on Find My Friends. Not that would happen, but maybe it would, I watch a lot of true crime. Shit happens a lot. Be smart. I was like, okay, I'll meet up with you. Using Mac NC50, I wasn't really alarmed when he said, I kind of like when a guy takes initiative, because like a lot of men don't. They're like, yeah, I'll hang. What do you want to do? Meet up for a drink? And then you're like, yeah, okay, why don't you plan? Like, why don't you tell me what to do? You know what I mean? Like, it gets annoying. Men just never make plans. So he goes, hey, would you want to meet up over like downtown? Which I live close to downtown. And so I was like, oh, okay. And he's like, yeah, there's this one place. It's like down the street from my apartment. It's super cool. Like, it's like kind of a hole in the wall. Cause we had talked about how I love hole in the wall bars. I love like playing pool and just like low key places. So he had said like, would you want to go there? It's really cool. And it's really low key. And I had said, yeah, we could go there. Or we could go to this place by my house. And it's called Johnny's. And it's very low key. It's cash only. And it has like a pool table and blah, blah. He's like, no, I think we should go to the one by me. And I was just like, I mean, okay, because like, that's fine. So I get ready, and mind you, let's just remember, people, a little recap. I've talked to him on the phone. I've texted him every day. Like, hey, what are you doing? Good, how are you? Da, 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 da. How's your day? So I head to the date. I get dropped off by an Uber because, safety first. And I knew that we would be drinking. So I was like, well, I'll just like take an Uber there. I ding, 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 alert my friends. Hey, I'm going on a date. I have my location open and available on Find My Friends. So find me if you need to. And they were like, yes, girl, we will keep tabs on you, And then I told all my friends where I was going. This is what you ladies need to do if you're going on dates. Okay, you tell people where you're going. You say who it's with. You send them even maybe a picture of it. Maybe their phone number too. You got to have the info. Am I a little too much? Maybe, but my ass is not getting kidnapped ever, and my ass ain't going to die without someone finding me very quickly. So I go into this bar, and it is like a kind of hole-in-the-wall bar. It's smaller, and you can tell it's like a ton of regulars like sitting at the bar. And I walk in, and like I look really nice, and I was just like in dark jeans, a black top, and like some booties, because I'm trying to look like cute because I'm meeting this guy for the first time. So I walk in and, it seems pretty normal. It's just like a hole in the wall bar. And the bartender's like, oh, hey, sweetie. And he was super, super, super nice. And he's like, hey, sweetie, are you here to meet someone? I haven't seen you here before. And I was like, oh, okay, this must be like a super like regulars bar, And I was like, yeah, and we'll call this guy Chris. I said, yeah, I'm here to meet a guy. And he's like, oh, who? And I was like, Chris. Red flag number 2. He goes, his face was like, oh, who? And I go, Chris. And he goes, why don't you sit right up here at this bar, honey? Like, why don't you sit up here by me? Because I was like go to sit in a table. And he's like, why don't you come sit up here by me? I looked at him and I was like, and he goes, just sit here. I was just like, I was kind of put off because I was like, what's going on? Because like I talked to this guy on the phone. He doesn't seem like weird or crazy, So like, is this guy just like, oh, you're going on like a blind date? Because I told him it was like a blind date. Like I told him I met him on Bumble and we were meeting for the first time. So like maybe that or whatever. So I'm still just like, okay, keeping that caution in my mind, keeping a mental note of that cautionary face he just made. So I sit. I wait to order anything because I was thinking, I'm going to wait till he shows up. Like I've had someone not show up before and then text after and be like, oh, sorry. And I'm like, okay. I'm using the Rose Glow Beauty Counter. My link's below if you guys are interested. I've had a couple people want this blush. My link will be in the description box below if you want it. Oh, you guys. So I'm like, okay, that was weird. But like, I wait and I just like get a water. He texts me and he's like, on my way. And I'm like, oh, okay, he's going to be a little late. I kid you not, like 3 minutes later, I see him. I see a guy and I assume it's him. The guy who was in my picture, the picture on Bumble, okay? He was like 6'2" and he was probably like 180 pounds. So pretty like lean, pretty in shape. I'm not against anyone chubby, obviously. I am chubby and have been chubbier, but like, I was like, okay, he's going to be in shape. This is what I'm expecting. Nay. Bailey Sarian has me saying nay, and I freaking love it. Someone walks up and he's wearing gray sweatpants that are sagging, okay? A little underwear action happening. A very fitted Abercrombie, like our Hollister, like old school 8th grade style hoodie. Too tight. A little bit of the gut showing right underneath. Little gut action, like a beanie. And his hair was like coming out of the beanie. And he's smoking a cigarette. And he's walking in. Or he's like walking towards the main door. And I'm like watching it and I just knew. I just had this gut feeling. I'm like, yep, that's him. That's him, you guys. He's probably about 50 to 60 pounds heavier than his picture. Maybe even like 80 because he's so tall. So like if you notice the weight is really different, it's probably a lot more than 50. But anyway, I'm like, okay, thanks for dressing up. You know, you really dress to impress, and I'm appreciative of like how much you care about this date. You know, I wasn't asking for the moon and the stars, but I was just asking for like a nice, maybe a little button up and a pair of jeans. You know, that's what I was thinking. But you know, he went with the route of you know, the sweatshirt from his high school experiences. You know, maybe the sweatshirt that he first scored with. You know, I don't know. I don't know what I don't understand. Okay. So at this point, I'm like, okay, whatever. You know what I mean? Some people like have older pictures on there. I'm not going to judge, you know, who knows if he's going to be coming in here and maybe he's going to be saying like, oh my gosh, like, I'm so sorry. I was like running late, you know, whatever. The weight wasn't a huge deal to me. I just don't like when, like, I'm sure like men don't like when women pretend to be skinny or like maybe like alter their pictures or put pictures from 5 years ago when they were 40 pounds lighter. And then they show up and you're like, that doesn't add up right there. You know, like I always, on all of my profiles, everything, I put a picture from recent and not even one that makes me look the best, because I don't want anyone swiping right on me with the misconception that I was like skinny. You know what I mean? And that's just because I'm like, I don't want anyone to like show up and look at me and me be like, this is hurting my feelings. They're looking at me like this is not what they wanted, you know? So whatever. At this point, I'm like, okay, you guys, it's just too much. He walks in and he walks by me and he punches me in the arm like a buddy. And he says, what's up? I was like, ow, first of all. And second, I was like, hey. And then he walks past me because I had stood up to like greet him. Walks right past me. Throws down $3. $3. I don't know if I said that right. $3. And he says, PBR. And I said, cool. Great. Now, you know, that's a little judgmental of me, right? My dad drinks Natty Lights, and God, does he love them. And I love that man. But this man came in looking underdressed, threw his cigarette, by the way, at the window I was behind, like, what's up? And I was like, did you just like pretend to flick that in my face via window? That was rude. And he then proceeded to come in and walk right past me, punch me in the arm like we're bros. Like, first of all, don't ever punch a woman in the arm like they're your buddy. If you're going on a date with them especially, like, what in the actual hell? If there are any boys out there, like, the arm punch isn't cute and it kind of hurts. We're dainty. I'm like already kind of dying inside, right? But like, I can't, like, I'm too nice sometimes and I can't be like, other people at that moment would just walk out. I understand that. And maybe now, like in my life now, I would do that. Maybe now I'd be like, later, you know? So he goes and gets a PBR. The bartender goes, well, does she want anything? Pointing to me. And he just like goes, and I literally said, I'll have a glass of red wine and here's my card. And the bartender goes, close it out. Should I just close it out? Should I close it out after this one? I was like, you sure should. So at a table, we were sitting at the bar and there was other regulars beside me and they were like kind of just going like, I think they were kind of like, this guy has this girl with him and she looks so nice and da-da, and like this guy is just not in it to win it. You know, they obviously kind of know him because he probably sits there with them every weekend, every day maybe. They are all staring at me and I'm just like, what's up? We sit there and I said, oh, you guys, I said, what did you do today? How was your day? You know, and he's like, it was pretty good, except my meeting with my parole officer didn't go so well. I start laughing, you know, because I'm like, he's obviously joking. I've been talking to him for 2 weeks now, and I've said, how was your day? What did you do today? A lot, you know, every day basically. And, you know, never once did he say, met with my parole officer. So I start laughing and I'm like, he's straight faced. He's like, I'm like, oh, you're not kidding. Cool. Oh, just because I was already on this date, I was like, so what happened? Why was it a bad thing? And why do you have a parole officer? He was like, well, it's really stupid and, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's so dumb, the reason why, like, I have to meet with this parole officer. And I'm like, trying to think of all the ways that this is dumb. I'm like, you know what? Maybe he got criminal trespassing or something. You know what I mean? Like, maybe it was something like stupid and whatever. But at this point, you know, I'm not giving him the benefit of the doubt, I wouldn't say. And he goes, yeah, so it's not a big deal. I used to sell cocaine. What? Did he just tell me that? He's like dead ass serious. And he's like, yeah, and it's so stupid. Like, how was I supposed to know this guy was like undercover? And I'm like laughing, you know, I literally started laughing. And he was like, you know, how would I know that he was undercover? You know, I've been selling to him for months and he was recommended by this other guy to me. And I was like, you know, you're not doing well pleading your case here, okay? So at this point, I know we're done. You know, I know that this isn't my soulmate. This isn't my Prince Charming. You know, this is not what I had envisioned for my future boyfriend, future husband, just for my future, just in general, you know? So at this point, I was like, we're done. But hell, I better, you know, let's make this night interesting, shall we? So I just like act really into it. You know, I act very concerned. And I say, oh, yeah. So how did he catch you? And he's like, oh, you know, I used to have this house downtown in Short North. You know, I used to have this apartment. It was like $4,000 a month. Yeah, I was rolling in the dough. I was like, wow, that's so cool. Now, just a PSA, I don't recommend any woman actually doing this. You know, I don't know what came over me this night. Other women just need to like leave the scene, right? But I think it's because I felt pretty safe. It was a small bar. That bartender had his eyes on me. The people at the bar were, you know, watching. My friends had a, you know, find my friends on me. So I was like, you know what? Let's just like listen to this guy and what his life is like, which is obviously so different than mine. He was like, yeah, I used to have this like kick-ass apartment downtown, Short North, and I could get into any bar. Yeah, like I can still get into a lot of places, you know, because I used to sell to all these owners. I was like, oh my God. Then he goes, you want to get into this bar? We can get in. And these are bars he's mentioning, by the way, that are like teeny bopper bars. That are like 22 and under is who hangs out there. And like, you don't want to hang out there anymore. You know what I mean? Like at this point, I was 29 years old. I was like, no, like, first of all, it's not cool that you can get me into that bar. Because A, I can get in there without you. And secondly, I don't want to go in a bar with a bunch of teeny boppers. You know, it was like 18 and up bars where the 18-year-olds aren't supposed to drink, but they're actually like sneaking drinks in the bathroom. Some of them have fake IDs, you know? I was like, holy macadamia nuts. And I was like, so cool. At one point he did say to me, "Are you mocking me?" And I said, "What?" So he goes on to tell me though about how he, sold cocaine and like now it's this big thing. And, it sucks that he got caught because it wasn't a big deal, like that's not a big deal. Then say, so with this probation, are you allowed to be at a bar? He said, well, I'm not allowed I'm not allowed to be farther than like I forget how many feet, 300 feet from my apartment. So that's why I invited you here, because I live next door. I can't make this shit up, you guys. I can't. Really. I literally can't. Like, oh, how nice for you, That's so great. So he then proceeds to tell me that he's so bummed because, he used to live in this like kick-ass apartment by himself downtown. And now he lives in this apartment with 6 roommates from Craigslist. And, these people aren't great, and one guy who just got dropped off a week or two ago, his sister pays for his rent. They call him old school, and he's living in their house with them, and he forgets things all the time. And so he writes everything down, and Chris thinks that's so old school. First of all, whatever sister dropped this man off needs to be arrested, like, immediately. Second off, I don't know. I just literally started laughing, and I was like, okay. At this point, I am done with my glass of wine, and I am just itching to go home and tell my friends about this situation that's been happening. By the way, I did text my friends during this time, and I said, like, hey, listen, shit's crazy right now, okay? Crap is going down, and I just want you to know this just in case. He didn't seem threatening or anything, but, So I told him, okay, so I'm using this palette. It's by Morphe. It's called Dare to Create. Like, look how beautiful these colors are. So pretty. And I'm going to use this color right here. I'm sitting with him there, and he's finished his beer. By the way, he's had 3 PBRs in the time that I've had 1 glass of wine. And if you know me, I drink very quickly, just in general, which is why I always try to like drink like waters while I'm drinking wine. It's not just to rehydrate. It's because I drink so quickly. He had 3 PBRs during this time. The bartender comes up to me and brings me, which this is so funny, brings me my check and is like, are you done? Do you feel done? You done? Here's your check. I got it for you. You just sign it. I'll stay here. I'll stay here. Are you done? I'll stay here. You just sign it and I'll get you out of here. It's late. It was like 8:30. So when I'm leaving, I call my Uber, right? And this guy's like, wait, you're leaving? And I was like, yeah, I think I'm done here. And he was like, oh, all right. Well, do you want to come back to my place and kick it? Oh, shit. You want to come back to my place and kick it, girl? Oh, boy, that was so smooth. You know it. And so I just, I started laughing, and that wasn't nice. And like, that wasn't safe either. I should have played really cool. Just in case he was a psychopath, which I've learned now, I'm learning, okay? But I said, I'm so sorry, Chris, but that's a hell no from me. And my Uber pulled up, and I literally sprinted to the car. The Uber's like, are you okay? I said, go, 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 go. Like Chris was running after me. He wasn't, but this guy did like take off. He was like, I ain't playing games. I'm getting her out of here. And I was like, I'm so appreciative of you. But think, that this is the end of the story. That of course after that, and after I said that's a hell no, you would think, no way is this guy gonna be like, oh, she's so interested in me still. Nah, sis. He came a-calling. So he called me. He proceeded to call me the next day like 6 times. And he acted like nothing happened. So then he acted like, hey, what's up? He didn't even say anything about like, hey, I had a great time with you last night. Or like, hey, so sorry last night was weird. Or like, whatever. This or that. Nothing. Nope, none of that. He just would be like, hey, so I'm free on Saturday if you if you liked that bar we went to. Like, I'm like, because you can't go anywhere else? Is that what you mean? You can meet up there again next weekend, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, people are effing delusional, you guys. People are freaking crazy. So then he kept texting me and he kept calling me and I didn't answer. And finally, because he wasn't getting it, this was now like 2 weeks later. Finally, I text him and I said, listen, Linda. Can I call you Linda? I'm not interested in you. I hope you have the best life and I hope all of your stuff gets worked out. But the place where you are in life right now is not the place that I am in. And so I think it's best if we part ways. What do you guys assume? Like, if you were told that, if someone said that to you, what would you do from there, do you think? Well, whatever you're thinking is probably not what he did. He then still acted like nothing had happened and blew me up for another week or 2. And I just ignored him. And finally one night he goes, well, I guess this is done. Guess so, Chris. Guess so. And I haven't heard from him since. And you guys, the sad thing is there are more stories. Not exactly like this one, but like sorry, I couldn't stand seeing that white. You guys, I don't think I'll ever understand how some people just do not understand social cues, and also not even social cues, like blatant comments saying, hey, I don't want to talk to you anymore. I don't want to hang out with you ever again. Ever again. And I hope you have a great life, but I don't want to be in it. So please refrain from trying to include me. And then they still are like, yeah, so what do you do next Tuesday? And you're like, what? I'm getting a restraining order on you is what I'm doing next Tuesday. Freak out, you guys. I'm doing the highlighter now. Don't get scared. Never forget this. Okay, never. So that was one of my many experiences of the Bumble, of the online dating, Some of them aren't super bad. They're just not super great. And others are just super bad. So that is I think that's like my worst one, like as in like the weirdest situation. I mean, I don't know, actually, is that the worst? Like, it might be the worst in the sense that like there was drugs related in his situation, but I wouldn't say it was the craziest one that I've gone through. So, okay. So guys, that's the end of my story for today. Please, I mean, you just let me know anything you want to say down below, okay? This is one of many. I'm going to be doing this probably again in another video sometime of my other stories. Some might have a couple stories. This one was just the longest one I had, or was it? I mean, actually, when writing these down, I'm like, oh my God, I forgot about so much of this. It's like your brain just like pushes that back in an area, like, girl, just don't think about that anymore, okay? That was a bad time. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe, because I don't know. If you like to hear about Weight Watchers, I got you. If you like to hear about crazy dating stories, I got you. I'm your girl. Should I do a montage like all the beauty gurus do? Okay, bye.